afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Lifestyle CEO Show. I'm your host, Donna Maria, the original Lifestyle CEO, and you have arrived at the one place on your internet dial where we empower you to break all the rules, build your own corporate ladder, and create the life you love. Today is Friday, September the 1st, and we are doing our first pre-recorded show for airing on Monday, September the 4th, which is Labor Day. So we won't have any live calls today, but I'm so excited that we are able to use technology to pre-record our show. So those of you who are used to listening to us on Mondays at 1 o'clock, we'll have a brand spanking new show, fresh content, and great and interesting and useful content, I might add, from today's show to help you in your small business. Before I get to that, I want to wish everyone a happy Labor Day. I looked up on the Internet a couple days ago a little bit about the history of Labor Day, and it supposedly constitutes a yearly national tribute to the contributions workers have made to the strength, prosperity, and well-being of our country. And yes, people have worked very hard behind the scenes, rolling up their sleeves for their entire lifetimes to make our country great. And we are so thankful to all of you who have served in whatever capacity to build this country and help keep it strong. And, you know, let's not forget about small business owners like us who are out there doing the same thing. And I want to take a vote. I want to hear from you guys by email or however you want to contact me and let me know what you think about having a Be Your Own Boss Day. That's right, a national day to recognize the strength and contributions that small business owners make over and over again to help make this country great and keep it strong. Be Your Own Boss Day, coming soon to a Monday in your life, brought to you by the Lifestyle CEO. Today's show is, of course, going to focus on how to help you keep your small business strong and help you keep making those great contributions to not just the country, but also to yourself, your family, and your colleagues, your customers, and your clients. And, of course, if you have a small business, you know that you need to get the word out. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that, but perhaps none of them are as cost-effective and efficient as hooking up with the media and getting the word out through a variety of different media outlets that are available to you. And to help us learn and understand how we can best do that today, I've got a great guest. His name is Drew Gerber, and he is the co-owner of Wasabi Publicity. And this guy is just a walking, talking booklet on how PR works. And we are going to be talking today all about that. And actually, the title of today's show is The Makings of a Media Star. And Drew is the type of person that can help us do that. And that's why I wanted him on the show today. Welcome to the show, Drew.
Thank you. It's great being here.
Well, I'm really, really excited to have you. And I want you guys to know that because of the holiday, we had a little scheduling snafu, and Drew is here literally on about 25 minutes' notice. So, Drew, we're thankful to you and your partner, Michelle, and everyone at Wasabi for opening up your schedules on a holiday weekend to share your knowledge with us. Let me start, Drew, by asking you a little bit about your background. I know you're at Wasabi now, but you've got a lot of years' experience helping companies be successful in a variety of different ways. Tell me a little bit about you so we can know who this Drew guy is and where he comes from.
Okay, good. Well, I have a very wide, very varied background. I've done a lot of things in my life. I got my degree in chemical engineering and went straight into marketing. So I worked for a number of large corporations, helping in the sales and marketing department. I was a regional planner for a financial planning company. And about 5 years ago, I met up with Michelle, and that's where we decided that we would create a company together. And it was really funny. We were doing a course together, and I turned to her and said, "Hey, let's create a company together." And she said, "Doing what?" I said, "I don't know. We'll figure that out, but let's just create a company together." And 5, 6 years later, we've got an amazing PR company.
Well, that's a great story, and what's fascinating about it is, two things stand out to me. Number one, you got a degree in chemical engineering, and you went to work immediately in a totally different field.
Yeah. Yes.
And the second thing, obviously, is you found someone, you met someone that you liked, and I guess you felt a certain synergy there, and you decided to start a business, and then you figured out what it would be later.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of, there's a philosophy, you can kind of a bus analogy, and you're heading in a particular direction, you're going to a particular destination, and then, you say, okay, we're going to California, and all the people going to California get on the bus. Or you can be like, okay, get all the people on the bus, and then we'll decide where we're going to go. And that's kind of how Michelle and I did it, I said, well, let's go into business together. And I said, at this time we were in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I said, hey, and by the way, I'm moving to North Carolina. And she said, what? I said, yeah, do you want to move to North Carolina? So she picked up, and we both picked up, and we moved to North Carolina because we both loved this area. She's an avid whitewater kayaker. I'm originally from Utah. I love the mountains and nature, and so we actually picked a place that we loved, and then we started our business from there.
There are so many reasons why I love that story, and, I could be very selfish and follow up on lots of things that you're saying, but I'm not going to do that. Suffice to say that for everyone listening, there's a perfect story that Drew just told about the thing that we should all know, and that is there's no blueprint, that you can make some decisions about your life, the kind of lifestyle you want, and that's what we're all about here at the Lifestyle CEO Show, is not just the nuts and bolts of being in business, but also creating a lifestyle for yourself that gives you the kind of flexibility and really just the joy that you just described that you have because you were able to choose, or you decided to choose, what part of the country you wanted to be in.
Yes, it was really great, and we decided that by living in a place that we loved, we would be happier, and our work, would show in our work, and it did. I'll never forget when we first started our company, we landed a huge contract with Boeing. They were at that time debuting a whole new generations of rockets, and we got the account and actually notifying the world that this was happening in the media. And it was so funny. We just looked at each other and cracked up because we're in this little town of Saluda, population 500, doing calls all over the world for notifying people about a new rocket, and our cell phones wouldn't even work in the mountains. It was very, very funny to us, It's like, but we really had created a dream environment.
Well, I love that. As you know, I recently relocated my family and my business to North Carolina, so I can really relate to that. So you have really just inspired, I'm sure, a lot of people just by that. But let's also get started on what we're going to spend most of our time talking about today, Drew, and that is, what is the media? What is this thing called the media, and how can we somehow infiltrate, for lack of a better word, so that we can utilize, media resources to help our businesses grow? And maybe we can just start by talking, in general terms about publicity, public relations. What is it? What does it encompass for anyone who needs kind of like a primer?
Well, so what PR is public relations? There's different aspects of public relations. What we focus on is media relations. Okay. So you can do public relations like events and those kind of things, but what we focus on is media relations. And a lot of people, most people, are really clear about what advertising is, and that is, you pay the money and they put your ad in. What PR is what we refer to as earned media. And what that means is whatever you're doing is noteworthy enough for the media to actually cover what you're doing. But what we do and what publicity is really letting the media know that what you're doing is of a note and they should take notice and actually cover you in the media. So that's kind of it. Basically, that's what PR is in regards to media relations.
And it's a hugely powerful tool, is it not? Because especially today when there are so many media outlets, it's not just television and radio and, the sides of buses anymore.
Yeah, it really is. One of the things in this world, as I'm sure everyone can relate to, is it's crazy. We're bombarded by all the messages we get, all the advertising we get. The credibility of advertising has actually gone down greatly due to the volume. And most people, I'm sure, on the call can actually relate to this. When they see advertising, they just kind of dismiss it. Oh, that's advertising, because we're so bombarded by so many messages. But people actually take note when something's covered by the media.
Well, yeah, and isn't that why, Drew, that all these companies are scrambling to try and get their products placed inside the TV shows themselves?
Absolutely.
So they can basically be, sort of a part of the content and not an ad, during the breaks between the shows.
Exactly. It's exactly that. People are kind of struggling in this world. PR and advertising are blending together. At one point, it used to be very separate. PR used to be like the stepchild to the advertising agencies. but now it's becoming more and more integrated, and they're finding more and more that's more important. I just saw recently that they're actually going to do advertising in video games. So they're actually, during breaks, there's actually going to be advertising now. So advertisers and companies and marketers are all struggling. How do I get my companies out there, message out there, and actually have people pay attention?
Right, and speaking of that, too, it's interesting. I read in the paper not too long ago that the actors and actresses who are in these shows are not too happy when they're asked to, carry a bottle of, some particular type of soft drink into the room. Because, number one, they may not like it. Number two, it may conflict with a contract they have with another company. And number three, they're not being paid.
Exactly, yeah.
So, from their perspective, as, of course, they're lifestyle CEOs, you've got to be able to market yourself and get what you're worth. So that's a whole other story. But thank you for that sort of overview and intro. So here we are, small businesses, and, we can't afford to buy, an ad in the a national newspaper, and even if we could, maybe we might not want to, based on what you just said. So what do we do? We're small. We are in, a variety of different stages, from startup, to kind of moving along and humming at a good clip. How do we know that we're ready to reach out to the media?
Well, here's, I think, this is my world, but I always think people are always ready. If you're in business, you're ready. And really the question is how are you going to go about doing that? Are you going to do it yourself, or are you going to hire a publicist? That really is for me. But I think people, if you're in business, you're ready.
Okay.
So, if you're in business and, you've got a tight budget and everything, then you really need to look and see, okay, good, what are cost-effective ways that I actually can do publicity for myself? And there's a lot of different ways that a small business can do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what are a couple of those that you've had good experiences with?
Well, one of the things that a small company, the first thing that I really recommend for any company, organization, or individual that we work with is really sort out for yourself what is unique and different about you and what you're doing. What is newsworthy? So one of the first things that we do when we're working with our clients is we have a conversation with them to distinguish, okay, good, what is it about you that differentiates you from everybody else out there? So that's the first thing that you really got to do.
Okay, and that's absolutely key anyway, too, because you've got to do it in order to sell your product.
Exactly. And, by actually doing publicity, what you'll find is it's going to help you in the marketing and sales greatly in your business, because you have to do the work. You have to really dig in there and really do, okay, good, this is what's unique and different about me, and this is how I position myself in the market.
Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to convey that to people in order to get their attention.
Exactly. And then also, with publicity, it goes a step further than that. It's not only what's unique and different about your company or your product, but what's different and unique about you and your story. What makes you unique? And it's some of the, darndest things that actually the media take up and take notice on. We had a client that was the executive director of a large nonprofit that took care of abandoned and orphaned children. And it was interesting. The thing that got him in the New York, I think it was the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, is that he actually grew up across the street from Disneyland in a motel. And what piqued the reporter's interest there is that here he was growing up across the street from Disneyland, and then now what he was doing for a living was actually creating permanent homes for abandoned and orphaned children.
Wow.
So that was the hook. So it's not only what's unique and different about you and your company, your product, but what's different and unique about you, the way you're doing it, or, your pets. I mean, it can be really anything that makes it unique and different. One of the things that gets us publicity is we're a virtual PR company.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the way that we're doing business that gets us a lot of news out there, a lot of media coverage.
Right. So, and everybody has a story to tell, so everybody should be able to put something together that kind of complements their products or services that they're selling. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about that. We're going to take our first break right now. This is the Lifestyle CEO Show. We're talking with Drew Gerber of Wasabi Publicity about the makings of a media star. We'll be right back.
Why is everyone listening to GlobalTalkRadio.com? Because it's the future of talk radio. Every day, more and more people are finding Internet radio as not just an alternative media, but as a replacement to traditional AM and FM broadcast stations. Internet radio offers a wider variety of programs, convenient on-demand listening that meets your schedule, and fewer commercial interruptions. And GlobalTalkRadio.com is already leading the way by matching this content with a highly targeted Internet audience. GlobalTalkRadio.com offers its listeners one of the widest programming varieties on the Internet, from business and finance to self-improvement, paranormal, health, literature, romance, politics, and more. There are also opportunities for prospective hosts who would like to host their own weekly or one-time talk shows. Want to learn more? Check us out at www.globaltalkradio.com and see the future of talk radio today.
Welcome back to the Lifestyle CEO Show. We are here today talking with Drew Gerber of Wasabi Publicity about the makings of a media star. And before we took our break, Drew, you said something really interesting, which was that, in addition to sharing or identifying first and then sharing what's unique about your products and your services and your business, to also be able to identify what's unique in a broader sense, like about you. And you just talked about your virtual firm. I know a woman who is an aromatherapist who drives like an old purple Volkswagen to farms around Southern California and helps them collect the herbs and plants and distills them from a distilling machine in the back of her, or I guess the front in this case, of her Volkswagen.
Yes, perfect.
And so that's kind of an interesting example, would you say, of what you're talking about?
That's a brilliant example, exactly. It is really, that's what catches the media attention. It's got all the makings of a really great story.
So when you look at what you do and you say, gee, I'm not the only, shirt maker in the world, what's going to be different and unique about me, you can kind of, there's got to be something, right? I mean, everybody has a hook. It's just a matter of finding it.
Absolutely. About you, your companies, unique things that you do at your company, anything like that is all, would be of interest to the media.
Mm-hmm. And would you say, Drew, that one thing that some business owners could do is to kind of ask their customers that question, or maybe ask some colleagues or friends who observe them in business or maybe even observe them in life for a period of time to give them some ideas and some food for thought on what they could sort of put that kind of, that kind of label on.
Absolutely. And, your customers are another really great source of, news. I mean, what are your customers doing with your products? What are cool, creative ways that your customers are using your products or interacts with you as a company? All those kind of things, or if that you've got a client that's of note, all those kind of things are stuff that you can actually feed to the media.
Mm-hmm. And so once you've identified those types of things, what's your next step, Drew?
The next step is and I think that this is really important for small businesses, and it's a common mistake, and that is really you need to make sure that all of your materials or anything that a media person is going to be looking at is professional. So if you've got a website, and you should have a website, your website should be very professional. It should be current and should be up to date.
Okay.
Also, you should have an online press kit, either on your website itself or use the technology. We actually have a technology press kit 247 that we actually sell for people to use easily without the need of an IT person. But if you have access to an IT person, you want to make sure that you've got a place on your website that the media can go to get the information that they want to get or that they need to get when they're doing the story.
So this is a really good point to underscore something that you and I talked about when we were preparing for the show today, and that is the importance of using technology.
Yes. Yeah, I think that it's really good. There's particularly what we're finding is 90% of reporters are saying that the way they like their information delivered to them is via online press kits. And what that does is it allows you the ability to send links to your materials rather than attachments. Because reporters do not open attachments for the most part from people, unknown sources, because of the whole scare with viruses and firewall spam, that whole thing. So, the best thing to do is find a way that you can easily upload and maintain your online press kit.
Yeah, that's a key point because most lifestyle CEOs, I'm quite sure, are able to start businesses because they can use the cost effectiveness and the efficiency of technology.
Yes.
In order to go into business in the first place. So what you're saying is that another really great way to maximize the technology is to do this, and you don't have to have piles of paper lying around that no one's really going to read anyway.
Yeah, in regards to our technology, one of the things that we've done is we've actually created a product that's ideal for small business because it allows them to create an online press kit simply and easily without the need of an IT person, and that looks very, very professional. Mm-hmm. Also, there's a contact management system in that's part of it integrated inside, which keeps track of your PR campaign in all of your media contacts. One of the biggest challenges that people are going to face if they're going to do their own PR campaign is to keep track of their media contacts and what's happening with them. So I recommend, if you're not going to use the technology like this, you have a system in place that you can keep track of them, because one of the worst things you can do is actually contact the media and then not follow up on a particular request they have.
Right, because everybody loses out then.
Everybody.
What would you say to someone who they have a website and they've invested pretty substantially in it and it's pretty good, and they have a picture of themselves or their product, depending on what it is they're selling, and a press release or two that's easily downloaded, and maybe they have a little newsletter or something current that the media can look at, but they're not ready because they don't have the ability financially to invest in until maybe 12 months into the future. They can't invest in the press kit. What kinds of things can they do to try and get the word out, even to small media or local media, about what it is that they're doing?
Well, one of the things that they can do is if they've had a press release written about it, about them. One of the things they can do is they can just go ahead and contact their local media and pitch them. And what that means is to call up the local media and say, hey, I've got a great idea for a story, and it's da-da-da-da. And so that they can call their local media, and they can find all that information on the Internet. The Internet's an amazing thing. You can actually find out all the contact information for the media that you want to contact, and then just really pick up the phone and pitch yourself.
Yeah, and I would imagine that doing that is kind of, it's not what most people think of. I mean, they're looking at, their favorite women's magazine with a circulation of a couple billion.
Yes.
They want to be featured in there, sort of overlooking, some really good opportunities in their own backyard.
Their own backyard, or one of the most untapped areas is the Internet. And you can actually do research for online magazines, online portals, where you can actually submit bylined articles, or you can pitch, them your story. So the Internet is a huge place that you can actually go and get coverage on yourself.
Right. So as you're moving forward to do these pitchings of yourself, as you say, by picking up the phone or email, I mean, how do you know how to do that? Do you use email, or, what you don't want to do, I guess, is do the one thing that would irritate the person that you're trying to get to cover you. So what are some of the pet peeves or things to kind of look out for when you're doing that?
Well, one of the things is you want to do research, and you want to make sure that you're clear about the media venue that you're pitching and the person that you're pitching. This is really important, and it's a mistake even seasoned publicists make, and that is not doing sufficient research to know who you're pitching. So you want to know not only the media venue, you want to know what kind of stories they like to do, what kind of, features they do, and then also you want to find out about the particular reporter or editor or producer that you're pitching. What are the stories that they like to do? Can you find out anything personal about them? So that when you're getting on the phone with them, you know who you're talking to. And you don't make a common mistake of pitching them something that they don't cover. So, you're a shirt maker and you're pitching them about, new textiles that you're using. And this is a person that covers fitness. One of the biggest complaints is people pitching reporters irrelevant stuff. And it's just a waste of their time.
Right. Right. And then when you finally get your act together and you're ready to go, you don't want to have that memory in their mind of...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you really want to make sure that you do your homework. And, with the Internet now, there's no reason that you can't find out all kinds of information on who you're pitching. A common mistake that a lot of people make is they just blast out their stuff everywhere. Well, you don't want to do that unless what you have have is of note, and that really is it's something that is newsworthy. And most people think, well, whatever they have is newsworthy, or generally it's just not.
Right, right.
What a good publicist does is find the angle or the hook. Well, if you're going to do that, you need to do that yourself. What's the angle? What's the hook that's going to be newsworthy about you? And it's generally not what you're doing. It's something unique and distinct about you. That you only hire people from Ireland, or that you're, I've got a friend that owns a water company, and he was going to have all his water delivery guys wear kilts. Okay, good. That's newsworthy. Your water delivered by men in kilts. Come on. I mean,
Right,
great story.
And that's really, really wonderful because you don't even have to focus on the water.
No, you don't. And that's really the trick of it. That's what a good publicist does. And if you're going to do your own PR campaign, that's really the work you need to do. Find cool and creative ways that, can get the media's attention.
Make it hard for them to put that email down.
Exactly. Yeah, to make it really interesting. And then, really, like I say, do your homework. Yeah.
That's really good advice, and as you said, really easy to do. Your favorite magazine or the one you want to be featured in, subscribe to it and read it over and over again so you can understand the kind of stories that they do.
Yes, exactly. And really be current, because I can't tell you how many of our clients come to us and say, I want to be on Oprah. I mean, literally, like 90% say it.
I'm sure they do.
The thing is that what they don't realize is her format has changed over the years. And generally what they're talking about is Oprah 10 years ago, not her current format. And I always say, you should go watch Oprah now and make sure that you know, because for the most part, she brings on her experts, her own experts. She doesn't have a lot of people just show up, and she used to do that.
Right,
those are the kind of things where you need to be current on and not go from okay, good, how it used to be. Like, what are they currently covering? Because they change.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a great piece of advice, Drew, but I still want to be on Oprah.
Okay, perfect.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't?
Exactly.
But, now that I think of it, she does. She has, the financial counselor and the relationship counselor, and of course there's the Dr. Phil spinoff, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how it has evolved to that point.
Exactly. So now the trick is, okay, good. Now let's use this for an example. Now this is more about knowing your media venue. Okay, she actually has her experts. So now the question is, okay, good. How do you get in front of her experts?
Oh, okay.
So that's really those are the kind of, you need to kind of put on your publicist hat and look, okay, good. Well, how can I be, like Sherlock Holmes? Now, okay, good. She's not going to take me, but how can I actually get in with her experts? And her experts may mention me.
Right. Wow.
So that's the game of it.
There's so much that is just when you say it that way, it's like, oh well, that makes sense. But it's just not second nature to think that way.
It's not. It really is. It's not. It's like a whole different world, and it's one of the things that I love about it is it's you have to be very, very creative. And there's a lot of creativity. And okay, good. How do you make this person distinct, and how do we get our clients covered above everybody else? And it comes down to creativity.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, say you're a small business owner, and here at the Lifestyle CEO Show, we work a lot with moms.
Yes.
I know you've got some experience working with moms, too. And a lot of these stories are, in many ways, they're the same. The details aren't the same, but the overlay is typically, someone who became a mom and then discovered or invented a product or a service or something that helped her in her daily life that is so obvious. We all go, why didn't I think of that?
Yes.
And then there they are. So let's put ourselves, or could you create like a fictitious person for you that's in that position, but they don't have a lot of time. They just had a baby, not a lot of time there. What kinds of things could that person do to kind of set themselves up for being able to tell that story?
Well, it's interesting. We are kind of like the definitive mom PR company.
You are? Okay.
We really are. We've got some of the top mom experts in the country, and we have a number of them. And it's one of those challenges that I was talking about is we had to work with each of the mothers to actually figure out what's distinct about their message and how are they distinct from one another. And it's really great to do that kind of work. So, your question was how...
Yeah, like, can you just describe, I mean, you don't have to use a client's name or anything, but, how does it happen? Like, tell us if we really are serious about our business and we really do want to get on the track to, using some media opportunities to promote it. What's a story of someone that you can share that you've worked with that's done that? So we can kind of see, okay, it is possible, and you can start with just a little bit and prune it and make it work.
Yeah, well, one of our favorite clients is Tracy Adler, and she has a product called Yum Yum Dishes.
Okay, tell me about those.
Yeah, what Yum Yum Dishes are they're these adorable ceramic bowls that actually teach children about portion control. And you get them, and you're shocked about how small a portion really is. For the most part in this country, we completely ignore, like for me, a portion of Ben & Jerry's is the whole container. That's a portion for me. I don't read on the back that it's like 10 portions. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's hard not to do that when you go to a restaurant and your plate is as big as the table.
Exactly. It's another thing is Tracy actually owns a restaurant, and one of the things that she's doing in the restaurant, which I think is amazing, and this is those things that differentiate, she's actually making so you can buy the regular portion or you can buy a 9-inch portion of the plate, so you can get a smaller portion of the thing, which is really like a normal sized portion, not these gigantic portions that you get.
So you have the option to pick out.
You have the option to pick out or not, or eat sensible. So anyway, after her pregnancy, she was noticing that she was just sitting around and eating like a whole bag of chips. And she was gaining weight. So that's when she came up with this idea. Well, really, in this country, we don't really train ourselves in portions. So Tracy, we say you don't need a personal trainer. What you need is a portion trainer. And Tracy's the portion trainer.
Okay.
So really what it is, and there are these cute ceramic bowls that teach children and adults about portion control. So what we did with Tracy is we came up with our online press kit, which is like, bio, backgrounder, press releases, what she'd tell our audience, all that kind of information. And you can look at her press kit at yumyumdish.presskit247.com. And you can actually see all of the elements of an online press kit. I think that's a great example for small businesses out there. And then what we did is we just went and we just created a wish list, so to speak, which is the places that Tracy would like to be covered in, like shape and prevention and quick and simple, and as well as Carolina, I think it was Carolina Cooking and another South Carolina cooking show. So this is wish list all. And then all we did is we call up the media and we pitch them. And we say, hey, we've got a great story idea. We've got a client. Her name is Tracy Adler. She's got a great product. It teaches children about portion control. We call her the portion trainer. And they're like, oh, that's interesting. Send me some information. And we send over the online press kit. They review the online press kit. And then, we follow up with them. And whenever you're following up with, this is another really valuable piece of information. Whenever you're following up with a reporter, do not follow up with them to call them up and say, did you receive my information? They hate it. They're so busy. They're so overworked. So if you're going to call a reporter, always have a goodie. And what a goodie is another piece of information that would help them to do the story.
Okay.
So a nugget of gold that's really invaluable. So if you're going to do it and you're calling like the fitness person, you're pitching them, say, oh, I don't know if you saw this article on, obesity in America or obese children in the Wall Street Journal, but here's the article and here's the link. Or I don't know if you saw the statistics on CNN today that, 85% of our children are overweight.
Oh, so you give them, I see what you're saying. You add a little tidbit that they didn't have before, and you move forward with that. We're going to follow up on that, too, when we come back from our break. This is the Lifestyle CEO Show. We'll be right back.
Want to stay on top of what's new in the radio industry? Sign up for a free subscription to the Future of Talk Radio, available exclusively to listeners of globaltalkradio.com, and find out what's new in the world of online radio. Listeners can find out about new shows and special guests. People with something special to offer can find out how to become a guest and how to prepare for an interview. And prospective hosts will find a valuable resource for everything from planning their new program to selecting topics and guests recouping expenses by selling advertising, and more. Sign up today for your free subscription to the Future of Talk Radio by visiting www.globaltalkradio.com and learn about the future of talk radio today.
Welcome back to the Lifestyle CEO Show. We're here with Drew Gerber.
Gerber, like the baby food.
That's right. Not like...
not Goober, like those Goober candies.
Not Andy Griffith Show, right.
Yeah, it's not Goober, it's Gerber.
Right, I got that. I'm that Drew Gerber from Wasabi Publicity. We were talking about an example of someone who's just, got a really good hook, and just to kind of give you guys an idea of, an analogy so you can kind of look at what someone else is doing. But, Drew, YumYumDish.com and the press kit that you referred us to at your website, what strikes me is that there is essentially one product available in 4 colors. And the reason I mention that is because I work with a lot of business owners. I got an email just the other day from someone who's launching a body care products line, and she's a sole proprietor and, really just working really, really hard to get everything into place. And she's trying to launch like 20 products at once.
Yeah.
And this is a great example of how you don't have to start with all that stuff as long as you have something unique.
Yes, exactly. I think that people make it way too difficult and complete. And one of the things I think that's really, really important, and it's one of the things that philosophies in the company is you want to do one thing and do it really great, and then once you've got that, move on to the next thing.
Right. Okay, so this is literally 4 Yum Yum dishes available, one dish available in 4 colors.
Yep, exactly. And in the inside of it says Yum Yum time is over.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'm just going to order mine right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's an ingenious idea, and like you said, there are several hooks. There's portion control, there's childhood obesity, there's fun snacking, there's all kinds of things that kind of overlap here with this one product.
Yes, exactly, and that's really it's one of the great point that you bring up, because it's if you can tie what you're doing into the news, all the better.
Oh, okay.
So Yum Yum Dishes was a perfect product because there was a lot of conversation out there about childhood obesity. It's kind of calmed down right now, but there for a while it was like everywhere. Childhood obesity was everywhere. So we hooked her into a lot of national placements because that was such a hot topic.
Right.
So if whatever you're doing or business is doing is if it's current with what's happening in the news, all that much better. And if it is a big enough hook into what current news is doing, you want to hire a publicist and hire a publicist immediately, whatever you need to do that. Mm-hmm. And you could even talk to, I'd be happy to, if, you could even run ideas by me and say, oh, good, is this something that is worth it or not? And I could say yes or no. But literally, like with Tracy and the whole obesity thing, the hook was so great, and we got her so much great publicity. It was worth whatever she needed to do to get a publicist.
Wow.
Does that make sense? I really, because I'm all for really doing it yourself, and that's why we created the technology to really allow people to launch and do their own PR campaign very effectively with kind of the tools of a publicist. Mm-hmm. So I am a big believer in do-it-yourself, but there are really times what's happening currently in the news, and what you're doing is a direct fit. At that point, you do whatever you can do to get a publicist out there pitching you as fast as they can pitch you.
Right. Yeah. And for people who are not at that point where they're just starting out, I love the point that you made about the local media, because anybody can go get the newspapers frequently with local communities are free. You don't even have to buy it.
Yep.
And a lot of times, aren't they, Drew, just really, 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 really hungry for stories, and even hungrier sometimes for people who will write them?
It depends, but some of them are absolutely. One of the places that you can really get a lot of byline placements, and that's trade magazines.
Okay.
And
Tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Well, what I mean by that is particular trade magazines. So if you're in the apparel industry, there's like Apparel Magazine, and there's a couple magazines. And we had a client, what they were doing was an executive recruiter for that industry. So what we did is we did byline articles that they were willing to place. So if you're in a particular trade magazines generally will accept byline articles. Mm-hmm. And then as far as if they're hungry or not, it depends on what market you're in. If you're in a market like Atlanta, no. Getting in the Atlanta Constitutional Journal is as hard as getting into national placements.
Right,
but if
are there local, like community newspapers?
You can get into community papers, but even those in the larger markets are rather difficult to get in.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. What I recommend then, if you're willing to do byline articles, that you actually do internet. And there are places, there are portals where you can go and you can actually upload your article, and then it's disseminated out to all these websites that are looking for content. So how it works...
It helps you to establish your credibility and get your name out, because you can always link to your website.
Exactly. So they give you a byline where you can put your website in exactly. So it's really a very effective way to do it. So if you live in those larger markets like that, that can be hard. But if you're living in a smaller market, yeah, it's a lot easier to get into some of those, and you can just call up the local paper and say, hey, I've got a great story for you, great local angle. Mm-hmm.
Now, these are time-consuming endeavors, are they not?
Yeah, it really is. It's something is... one of the challenges, I think, of doing your own PR campaign is most people that are starting their own business have families, and it's really, keeping it all balanced is rather tricky. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to do it, now, the thing, though, that you can do is you can really kind of make the PR campaign as small or as big as you want. If what you're doing is you're going to do your own PR campaign, I would highly recommend that you get an online press kit, and then what you do is you pick and target, like, 10 to 15 media venues you'd like to be in, and make them be like low-lying fruit, local radio, local television, local print, and the internet. And really focus on those and really do personalized pitching to all of those rather than doing a blast email to everyone where you've got to keep track of all those people. Mm-hmm. And in other words, make it very manageable for yourself. You'll do a much better job and you can actually then fit it inside of an already crazy life.
Right. And would you say, too, Drew, that, the key, one of the keys for someone starting out is really literally just to do the first thing, just do it?
Yeah.
And just put something out there?
I would recommend that, if I were to do this myself, I'm going to just tell you what I would do. What I would do is I would have a press release professionally written.
Okay.
And if you can at all afford it, if you are a prolific writer and you can write it, great, then you should write your press release. But make sure you have someone that knows what they're doing proofing it. Do not send out a press release. The worst thing you do is send a press release where, there's grammatical mistakes or there's typos, those kind of things. No. So make sure that you're doing the work there to do that. And then I would buy our technology because I think that it's an amazing bargain and value for people, and I would create my online press kit because that's what I would do. And I would, once again, before I send out a link to it, I'd have someone proof it that knows what they're doing. You just don't want the guy in the diner doing it. You really want someone, it can even be someone in your network that you trust, but make sure you have someone that really knows what they're doing the press, the thing. And then what I would do is I would really do the work about what's unique and special about me. What's the hook? Okay. And then, once that's done, and try it out on a couple people. Really mock it on a couple of your friends and say, does that inspire you? Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, great. Do it until it does. And then, kind of practice your soundbite. Because you have, literally 15 seconds with a reporter to hook them or not.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's not a lot of time.
No, so you really need to practice so that you know that you can hook them. And once that's done, then, get on the phone. Mm-hmm. But, I'm not a big proponent of just doing it, just get out there. I really am. I think you should do it, but you should make sure that you've done the work that needs to be done before you do it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I didn't mean to make it sound like, just jump out there and, start dancing without taking any kind of... Right.
But no, it's a great reminder. Those steps are really, really helpful. And the other thing that's great about them too is that they're manageable. Anybody can do that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Anyone can definitely do that.
Yeah, and just getting started too is so great to see. And I know you see this all the time, right? Where you see, people who might be a little bit nervous at first, and then they take a first few steps. And sometimes what happens too, isn't it, is that once you start kind of getting the train moving, different opportunities start to come in to follow on the work that you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, there is a momentum that really does build. Yes. Mm-hmm. Because reporters talk, and you could get a call out of the view. And another thing that's really interesting is if you're building up and you want to build to a national platform, you start with local, because national generally wants to see how you do on local television before they're going to place you on national television.
Oh, okay. Right, and if you're selling products, you obviously want to make sure that you have them packaged attractively and nicely so that they photograph well and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly, which brings up a really good point about when you're talking about media that you want to be very, very careful about, and that is pitching your products.
Okay, tell us more.
Well, one of the things that you want to be careful about is the media hates people that are self-serving. It's another pet peeve. So you can't come across as self-serving. So you want, one of the common mistakes is I've had clients that just go on and they'll repeat their website a number of times, and it's the agreement is great from the media. I'm going to have you on. We're going to do a story, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to pitch, but don't pitch yourself through the whole story.
Okay.
Add some value to the story. So if what we're talking about is illegal immigration, and you happen to hire illegal immigrants, and you want to go on and talk about how great they are, great. You can go on and talk about how great they are, and generally what they'll do is they'll give you an opportunity to plug your product, but you don't want to be plugging your product. I hire illegal immigrants down at Gerber's Shirt and Fabric at www.shirtandfabric.com. Like that. You've seen people like that. It's a common mistake that people make, but we really do a lot of work with our clients and say, okay, good, this is the way that it works. And if you come across as too self-serving, you're not going to get other media because you're blacklisted.
So you want to think about how you can actually help the media person share information or stuff of interest to their readers or their viewers.
Exactly. That's exactly what you want to do. And if you do a good job of that, they'll have you back on.
So maybe you can put yourself in the position of put yourself in the position of a person that you think would buy your product, and what kind of information would they like to hear from you to support that, but not directly, sort of directly encourage it.
Yeah, that's a great exercise. Absolutely. Because most people the problem is when you begin to do that, it turns into an advertising, and your credibility goes down dramatically.
Yeah, because you don't want to seem like some of the advertisers are, kind of pushy and a little bit obnoxious sometimes.
If I see people on TV and everything, and I'm like, oh my God, they're really great, I want to find out more about them, great, I'll go Google them. If they begin to pitch themselves, I then actually tune out.
Right.
And I think a lot of people do very similar things. So it's a tricky balance there.
Right. But that's I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because it really is. Sometimes if you get a call from the media, you can get so excited, and what do you know better than your product? So there you are, babbling on and on about it, and maybe not even answering the question that's being asked. So that's a really good piece of information to try and remember. And it's really important, too, because it kind of helps to understand how your industry works.
Yeah.
And if, we're not in the PR or media relations industry as product manufacturers or small business owners, but if we want to utilize it to further our business interests, we have to understand the nuances that you're talking about. So that's very valuable.
Yeah. And there's, in doing it yourself, there's a lot of really valuable resources out there that are free. There's a lot of free teleseminars, and there's a lot of those kind of things out on the internet that you can do. I mean, we do a free teleseminar once a month that people can actually just log on to, and actually gives them great ideas. And you can actually hear publicists talking back and forth about things, their challenges that they're going through, and it may spark ideas for you.
Well, Drew, tell us a little bit about how we can find you and your partner, Michelle, and what website do we go to? We've got a few seconds left. Tell us how to find you and get your free teleseminar.
Well, the best way to go where you can find out information on us is our website, which is www.publicityresults, and there's a plural, there's an S on that, .com.
Okay.
And then the technology is www.presskit247.com. So there's no dash.
And that's where you can go and you can have your press kit made by your company.
Exactly. And you can go look at online press kits, examples of everything. Another thing you can do is you can Google my name, Drew, D-R-E-W, Gerber, G-E-R-B-E-R, and a whole bunch of articles will come up about how to have an effective online press kit. And then if you want,
the next teleseminar?
The next teleseminar is going to be next month. I'm actually not sure the date, but they can go to publicityresults.com. It's called the Wasabi Club, and they can just go ahead and sign up for that, and we do a monthly newsletter, which is just an amazing newsletter. It really is packed full of really great, useful information. And then one other thing, if they want to call me, my telephone number is area code 404-768-9736, and I would be happy. You can either fill out the contact form on our websites or you can call me. I'd be happy to actually kind of discuss with, okay, good, do they really have something that's newsworthy or not, or do they need to go to work, and what would be my recommendation? So I'd be willing to do that if anyone wants to do that.
Oh, like a free consultation, a
total
little
free
consult.
They would get a free, and I do that all the time. I love what I do. I love sales, and I really am a promoter of do-it-yourself. So most likely I'm going to say, do-it-yourself, and this is what you need to do. Or these are the places that you could augment and still do these pieces yourself. So
great. So publicityresults.com, you guys, you can get a lot of information. Thank you so much for joining us today, Drew, on the Lifestyle CEO Show. I'll see you guys here next week when we'll have someone talking about how to get your book published, guys. In the meantime, have a great holiday weekend. Break all the rules, build your own corporate ladder, and create the life you love. Have a good one.
You're listening to GlobalTalkRadio.com.